Je anilo premadano karma kacho.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Iskam Vidhi Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Vrinj Bhosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundiki Govardhan ki. Sri Vrindavan Dharma ki. Sri Mathura Dharma ki. Sri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki. Munamayi ki. Ganga Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulsi Devi ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. Sankirtan Yagna ki. Vihat Madanga ki. Transcendental Book Distribution ki. Instant Guru Vrinda Sankirtan Marathon Yagna ki. Sisi Radha Kalachanji Dham ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanandi. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Chandra Vallabha Vimalabhati Gopi Chandra Vallabha Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya-manodishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamaya Dadati Swapandantikam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 36. Evam Sahasra Vadanangri Shira Karodu Nasadya Karna Nayana Balana Yudadyan Nayana Abalana Ayudhya Adyam Mayam Sarvalakshita Sanivesham Dristva Purusham Apa Budam Vrinshaha Evam Sahasravadanam Vishiraktharodu Nasatyakarna Nayana Paranaya Yudadyam Mayam Satvalakshita Sanivesham Dristva Mahapurusham Apamudam Vidinsha
Evam Sahasra Vadanam Vishirakaru Asadya Karnanayana Bharanaridanam Maya Mayam Saripalachita Saminesham Krishna Mahapurushamakamdam Jirincha Evam Sahasra Katakashi Sakucha Suru Nata Chakarna Nagana Karana Hitakyam Maya Mayam Sarpalam Satanjuresham Rashta Mahapurusha Pamavishavisha
Sahasra. Thousands and thousands. Vadana. Faces. Hungry. Feet. Shira. Heads. Para. Hands. Uru. Thighs. Nasa. Adya. Noses, etc. Karna. Ears. Nayana. Eyes. Sounds like a body shop. Abharana. Varieties of ornaments. Ayudhya. Varieties of weapons. Adyam. Endowed with. Maya Mayam. All demonstrated by unlimited potency. Sat Upalakshita. Appearing in different symptoms. Sanivesham. Combined together. Dristva. Seeing. Mahapurusha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Apa. Chief. Udam. Transcendental bliss. Varincha. Lord Brahma. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma could then see you possessing thousands and thousands of faces, feet, heads, hands, thighs, noses, ears, and eyes. You were very nicely dressed, being decorated and bedecked with varieties of ornaments and weapons. Seeing you in the form of Lord Vishnu, your symptoms and form being transcendental, your legs extending from the lower planets, Lord Brahma achieved transcendental bliss. Purport. Lord Brahma, being completely pure, could see the original form of the Lord as Vishnu, having many thousands of faces and forms. This process is called self-realization. Genuine self-realization consists not of perceiving the impersonal effulgence of the Lord, but seeing face to face the transcendental form of the Lord. As distinctly mentioned here, Lord Brahma saw the Supreme Lord as Mahapurush, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna also saw Krishna in the same way. Therefore he told the Lord, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam, Divyam. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the Supreme Abode and Purifier, the Absolute Truth, and the Eternal Divine Person. The Lord is Param Purush, the Supreme Form Parusham Shashvatam. He is everlastingly the supreme enjoyer. It is not that the impersonal Brahman assumes a form. On the contrary, the impersonal Brahman effulgence is an emanation from the supreme form of the Lord. Upon being purified, Brahma could see the supreme form of the Lord. The impersonal Brahman cannot have heads, noses, ears, hands, and legs. This is not possible, for these are attributes of the Lord's form. There's some more purport that we can just try to speak a little bit and then go forward. As soon as Srila Prabhupada hears a description of the personality of Godhead, he immediately reminds us what? That God is personal and not impersonal. This is Srila Prabhupada's mission to the Western world, to annihilate impersonalism and voidism, which everyone has become tinged with. So, a description as elaborate as this certainly indicates personality. What Brahma is seeing here, when he says that it is said, seeing thousands of hands, thousands of arms, thousands of eyes, what is this a description of? Yes, the universal form, the Virat Rupa. What else? Because Garbhodakshay Vishnu will be further understood to be the expanded as Paramatma. So he is the source of, he is Paramatma. So Paramatma means within the heart of all living entities, even within the atom, the Lord's expansion as Paramatma is present. So thousands of hands, unlimited eyes, because they're unlimited Paramatma expansions. So here is indicated both Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu, as well as the universal form. All are included in this mention here of Mahapurusham. And Prabhupada says, Brahma was able to see the Purusha, the Mahapurush, because he was self-realized. So this would indicate that Brahma has already performed tapasya, as mentioned in the past verse, and therefore has become eminently qualified to understand the personality of Godhead. He's self-realized, he's pure. Actually, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma prays to the Lord that if you are pleased with my prayers, with my penance, then kindly award me the benediction, the following benediction, that I may be able to perform my service without becoming affected by the modes of material nature. Just like we go out to the airports to distribute books, what mode is predominant there? Cash. So we have to pray in the same way as Brahma is praying. Please allow me to perform my devotional service without becoming affected or overwhelmed by the mode of passion. Practically, this material world means predominance of the mode of passion and ignorance. And each of us, whether we're riding around in the jeep, surveying the land, or whether we are at the airport, or at the printing press, or, pushing the baby carriage, or watching over dozens of little crying devotees. I didn't say one or something. Crying devotees. Whatever our service may be, we have to know, we have to pray, Krishna, please protect me. Protect me from the insidious effects of passion and ignorance, so that I can always remember your lotus feet. Because unless we are in transcendental position, how can we meditate upon Krishna? And if we can't meditate on Krishna, then what will happen to us? What is our fate? Certainly we are not following the most essential principle of all, to always remember Krishna every moment. And how should we remember Krishna? Not exactly as this picture is being painted. Because Arjuna was not very attractive. Prabhupada mentions here, Arjuna also saw this form. But Arjuna was not so much attracted by this form. He wanted to see this form for the sake of the world, the populations of the world, future generations, that they should have no doubt that his best friend was indeed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore he said, show your opulences. Do your thing. Do some magical tricks. Show your mystic potency so that everyone will know who you actually are. But for myself, you're my best friend. And that's all I care about. I don't care about all of this other stuff. So, we followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are conversant with the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. We know very well who Krishna is, and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But after knowing that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what do we want to do, Vishnu Priya? And mudata means forgetful. Krishna himself is like that.
He doesn't know how his spirit will render service to him.
Sarvabhauma. Is there anything that Krishna doesn't know? Something he doesn't know, because when he's standing in front of Mother Yasoda, you see, look, this picture here. Does this look like someone who knows everything? I mean, what is he afraid of? A little grove? Do you understand how it's possible? God can do everything and anything. Why is he cowering like this in front of a rope? Because he has forgotten that he is God. Completely forgotten that he's God, and he's thinking, I'm simply a small child. You think that he's acting, or he really feels this way?
Really feels like this.
Yes. If you answer, no, he's acting, it's just his play. Oh, no. Don't think like that. He's not putting on some play. He actually feels this way. So this is the quality of God. This is the quality of God's devotee in the highest of all planets, Goloka Vrindavan. And this mood of understanding is what we mean by self-realization, according to the following of Lord Chaitanya, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. This is what they mean by self-realization. Not seeing the Mahapurush. Certainly not seeing Brahman. We are not interested in Brahman at all. And neither we are interested in Mahapurush, neither we are interested in Lord Narayan, neither we are even interested in Dwarkanath. We want to see Brajendrananda, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. We want to see him with Srimati Radharani. And this is our real interest. That doesn't mean that we do not know all of these other things. But we know him, and we want to worship him, and we want to be with him in his original form, as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda Maya. This is the Gaudiya Vaishnava's mood of worshiping Krishna. And Brahma too is interested in this way, because as we have explained in Brahma Samhita, this is the person he worships, Govinda. Govinda Adi Purusha. Which Purusha? Not this Mahapurush that is mentioned here, but Adi Purush, Govinda. Govinda is very clear. The universal form and Vishnu are not doing Calvary. Go, what does go mean? Cows and senses. Anyway, it also means planet. What does Goloka mean? What? Planet of cows. Is Vishnu on a planet of cows?
No.
Is Narayan on a planet of cows? That can only mean the son of Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boy, Krishna. So Govindam Adi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami, it is very clear who Brahma is interested in. All of his prayers are offered to Govinda, who happens to be the source of Paranadakshayi Vishnu, who happens to be the source of Garbhadakshayi Vishnu, Shiradakshayi Vishnu, Shambhu, Maya, Ganesh, Surya, all of the elements, the entire creation, everything, all the prayers of Brahma Samhita describe the entire existence, which is all coming from Govinda. And Brahma is interested in Govinda. So why do we have to hear all of these things, canto after canto, if we're not interested in Vishnu, Narayan, what to speak of material creation, then why is it that the Bhagavatam is full of such descriptions? And why do we have to study so tediously all of these cantos? What is the reason, Rasakriya?
So we get to the 10th canto.
Exactly. Because when we finally come to the 10th canto description of Krishna, we're prepared. We won't mistake him for some ordinary person. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says very simply, he says, because we have no taste. He just comes to a simpler point. He says, we have no taste yet. We're still interested. Our minds still want to do all kinds of tricks, mental gymnastics. Our minds want to, beat down mountains with so many complicated equations. So we have to study so many subjects, creation, annihilation, on, different topics. And finally, when, just like after a good workout, one wants to take a bath. So when we're ready after the full workout of 9 cantos, then comes the nectar, 10th canto. But actually everything is nectarian in the Bhagavatam. For one who has got some taste, he can see Krishna in every verse. Just like here we are, reading, and we're discussing, and because of the guidance of our Parampara, even though we're hearing about the Mahapurush, it will remind us of Govinda. So you should always be reminded of Govinda at every moment. Every verse you read, you have to see the connection to the Istadeva, means to your worshipful deity. So who is our worshipful deity? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Radha Krishna. These are our worshipful deities in our Gaudiya tradition. Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Gauranga, and Sri Radha Krishna. The word Maya, Mayam, means spiritual knowledge. This is explained by Madhva Acharya. Maya Mayam Jnana Sarupam. The word Maya Mayam, describing the Lord's form, should not be taken to mean illusion. Rather, the Lord's form is factual, and seeing his form is the result of perfect knowledge. What does knowledge mean? Krishna Rupa. What is it? Speak loud. Discrimination between what? Yes. To know, Gyan, gnosis. Gyan means, the real basis of Gyan is to understand knowledge and spirit and the distinction between both and the creator of both. If you only get one part of that type of information, namely of matter, the whole university system, the whole educational system is only dealing with matter, not spirit, and certainly not the creator of both. So that's not real knowledge, and therefore such knowledge does not lead to factual vision of the Lord. So it is very important that we fortify ourselves with spiritual knowledge. Then we'll be able to understand Krishna, not otherwise. We have to be fully satisfied. Our intellect, our mind, our senses have to be absorbed in understanding Krishna, studying Krishna. With your eyes, you should study the beautiful form. With your nose, you should study the fragrance of His beauty, the beautiful aroma emanating from His body. This is how the gopis are. This is how Krishna is with Radharani. Each one is studying the other with all the senses. When Radha and Krishna meet, then Krishna becomes so overwhelmed by the beautiful appearance of Srimati Radharani. And her maidservants are always helping that Krishna should become more and more attracted to Srimati Radharani. When they fan Radharani, why do they fan Radharani? Because then the anchal, the veil of Radharani, will be moved away and Krishna will see her beauty even more. And then Krishna cannot stay still. Radharani is putting a garland on him or putting a crown on his head. And he becomes so overwhelmed by seeing her beauty, he can't stay still, and the crown falls off his head. And she tries to get him to stay still, but the maidservants are having a better idea in their mind. They're fanning in such a way that her veil is coming off and Krishna cannot keep himself pacified. And then Radharani will give them an angry look, knowing that they're doing this fanning in a tricky way. And still then, they'll stop fanning this way and they'll find another way to fan. And this time they'll fan in such a way that the bodily aroma of Radharani goes into Krishna's nostrils, and again he can't sit still, and again she can't put the garland on her. And so it goes on like this. Radharani and Krishna are always being attracted more and more to each other. Their eyes, their nose, every part of their body is absorbed in service to each other. So this is how we have to learn to do service to the divine couple with so much full absorption. Not that our senses in any way want material sense objects, but that they only want service to Radha and Krishna. That is purified. Rishikesha Rishikenam Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. That is Bhakti. But that's only possible when we give up Sarvapati Vinirmuktam Tat Paratrina Nirmam. When we give up this false identification that I am this body, I am a man, I am a sannyasi, I am a GBC, or I am this, or that, whatever our identifications are. So long we identify in this way, then it is not possible to render service with spiritual senses, with spiritual mind. Then we come into material consciousness, and then so many material duties are there. But actually, for one who is properly situated in genuine Krishna consciousness, they have no more responsibilities or duties to perform in this material world. Their only interest is service to Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that the pujaris are so fortunate because they can directly serve the lotus feet and the transcendental couple Radha and Krishna. But he said that there was someone even more fortunate. Who is that? Huh? Yes, the Sankirtan devotees, the preachers of Krishna consciousness. Because they know even a higher pleasure. What is that? They know the pleasure which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. They know the highest pleasure of all, which is to take part in the Sankirtan yajna. To glorify, either by chanting or by distributing books or by distributing prasadam, to deliver Krishna consciousness to the conditioned souls. And being absorbed in Sankirtan mood, they experience the service or become qualified for the service of Radha and Krishna by doing the best service of all to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. When you spread the mission of Krishna consciousness, then you get the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by their mercy they bless you so that you can always meditate upon Radha and Krishna. So there's so much connection between transcendental book distribution and preaching work and the realization of Krishna's pastimes. They're not at all disconnected, but there's so much connected. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhavanam janmanamante gyanamamam prapadyante. The word gyanavan refers to one who is perfectly in knowledge. Such a person can see the personality of Godhead, and therefore he surrenders unto the Lord. The Lord's being symptomized by a face, nose, ears, and so on is eternal. Without such a form, no one can be blissful. These verses of the Bhagavad, of the Brahma Samhita are meant for us to meditate. Aravinda Dalayakaksham, the beautiful lotus eyes of the Lord, the peacock crown of the Lord, the threefold Tribanga Lalita, the threefold bending form of the Lord. Sham, Yam Sham is Sundar, the color of Sham. And what is the color of Radharani? Golden. So these two personalities, Sham and Gauri, always together, like a blue monsoon cloud intercepted by a streak of lightning. This is this description of Radha and Krishna always being together. Like a golden vine embracing a tamal tree. Golden creeper embracing a tamal tree. So, so many descriptions are there of the transcendental beauty. And it is not material. It is not at all material. It is transcendental body which is being described. Those who are impersonal say it is something material because it has form. But we understand no, not at all. This is the basis of all form. The Lord, however, is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. As stated in the Shastra, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. When one is in perfect transcendental bliss, he can see the Lord's supreme form. What is that supreme form? That's Krishna. When one is in transcendental bliss, Bhava Bhakti means the beginning of perfection. Bhava Bhakti is when we come to that stage where we can understand Krishna. Why? Because we can understand ourselves. We know who we are in relationship to Krishna. Unless and until we know who we are, we cannot know Krishna. Because Krishna is not known in a general way. Krishna is only known in a specific way. General knowledge of Krishna means to worship which form? No, Paramatma. Worship of Paramatma. Because even worship of Narayan is worship in a specific way. It's Dasya Bhava. But the Paramatma mood is Shanta. Simply worship of God as being great. So as soon as we want to understand Krishna, we have to understand Krishna in a certain way. It's not ever understood generally. If you are thinking generally that it's not Krishna, even you're looking at Krishna. Because Krishna is only understood, you can see all these pictures. Each one of the persons who is interacting with Krishna is thinking of him in a very special way. The monkeys, how are they thinking of Krishna? Let's do it. No, Rasa Priya.
He supplies them with butter.
Huh?
He supplies them with butter.
How are the monkeys thinking of him? What do you think? They think he's just a zookeeper? Yes. As a friend. Monkeys have friendship with Krishna. They're sakiras. They think in a very special way. So here comes our friend to play with us. They think like that. And how do the cows think when they look at Krishna? When they lift Krishna's body, what are they thinking? Yes. They think just like Krishna's mother. And here's our young child who will feed him. So every living entity in Vrindavan, they don't just see like Paramatma. They're not seeing Paramatma. They're not saying, oh God, here comes God to give us some butter. Here comes God, let us feed him some milk. No, then here is our friend. Here is our son. Here is your most lover. So that realization has to come by the grace of the Vaishnavas, by the grace of Shastra, hearing these pastimes, and by the grace of the Vaishnavas in our Guru lines, Guru Parampara line, by the grace of Rasika Vaishnavas, persons who are tasting. What does Ras mean? What is the meaning of the word Ras? Huh? But it means more than milk. Juice, but it is not ordinary juice. Huh? It is that thing that Krishna himself is tasting, and Radharani is tasting. What they are tasting is actually Ras. And the devotees taste what they are tasting. And that is really what Ras is. Ras is a combination of many ingredients. Many ingredients. And that is what we mean by Anubhav, Vibhav, Vyabhichari Bhav. All of the different things which make up this mixture of Ras. Just like for Krishna, when he tastes every little thing about Radharani. The way she dances, the way she moves her eyes, the way her bells jingle. These are the things, the ingredients that make up what Krishna's tasting. And Radharani, she tastes all of the ingredients of Krishna's sound of his flute, his beautiful form, his wonderful dealings, so many things. So this is Ras. It is not just ordinary juice, but it is a mixture of so many. It is actually love. It is liquefied love that Radha and Krishna are tasting, and they're giving as prasad to the devotees. So, hearing about all of the details of Krishna's pastimes, Radha and Krishna's pastimes, their beauty, their forms, their associates, this is the way that we can become Rasika. And then actually we will be able to understand Krishna in a very special way. Then, when we hear descriptions of the universal form, and when we hear descriptions of Paramatma, then we will be like Arjuna and say, I'm not interested in this. Please show me your personal form. But, for the sake of fortifying our intelligence, our conviction, and certainly for the sake of preaching, we must know all the details about the universal form, about everything in the Bhagavatam, from the first verse of the first canto to the final verse of the 12th canto. Actually, we see that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was with his confidential associates, he was not speaking about Paramatma. He was not speaking about the Virat Rupa. What was he speaking about? Huh? And not just speaking about all the 10th canto, but he was speaking about those sections which were especially in the mood that he was in. And what is his mood? As Srimati Radharani. And since we are the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, aspiring to be, then one day, if we become so qualified, then this will be our taste also. And we will also want simply this taste. And everything else will seem like it is not as important. But for the sake of preaching, what do we speak about? What? Nilmana? Everything. Right? We will speak about everything. You are not your body. You are not your body. You must connect everything, all that you do, Yat karoshi yadashnashi, everything you do for Krishna. Sarvadhamam parityaja, mam ekam sananam vraja. Surrender unto Krishna. This is the way we will preach. But for the devotees, what is their interest? Bhagavatam. Where does Bhagavatam begin? From where Bhagavad Gita ends? And where does Chaitanya Chaitamrita begin? From where Bhagavatam ends. So the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are so special, so exalted teachings. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give, no one else has ever given. There is no comparison with anyone else's teachings with the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Graduate, postgraduate teachings for spiritual life. In this regard, Prabhupada says regarding the form of Krishna, Madhvacharya says, Gandakya devatat yadvat prithinim vyapya tishtati evam vyaptam jagat vishnu brahma stam tadarshaha. Lord Brahma saw that as aromas and colors spread throughout the earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead pervades the cosmic manifestations in a subtle form. We'll stop here and ask if anyone has any questions. Yes, Nandini.
You were talking about in your lecture how when Krishna is being tied by them, they show that he doesn't realize that he's the Supreme Lord, that enables them to have that intimate, loving relationship. You're also talking about, that friendship relationship between someone with coward boyfriends exists in that way. But that's actually a higher form of love. So, is it to be understood that relationship needs to be developed, the relationship with the spiritual master? In other words, initially, or is that a wrong understanding? Initially, there's always the understanding we approach the Supreme Lord and the Guru of awe, veneration, and respect. But as that relationship grows between the Guru and disciple, is it to ever be seen in a Guru friendship, or is that improper?
Of course, friendship with great affection. We were discussing this, that the verse, Brahmachari Gurukula Vishantanto Gururitan, describes how one should live at the ashram of the spiritual master and serve him with great affection. So it is very loving affection. There is great friendship between the guru and the disciple. But it has to be done in the proper way. Just like we don't see that Mother Yasoda is being offensive when she is threatening the Kaya of Krishna. But if someone doesn't have the degree of love that Mother Yasoda has, and threatens in this way, then one of two things will be there. It will in any case be sahaja. It will be imitation, not actual feeling. So it's offensive and unacceptable. So, reverential feelings are always there in the beginning, until we learn properly everything. And when we become qualified by service and surrender, then the relationship between guru and disciple will become more and more affectionate and loving and friendly. In friendship, you can say so many things. You can scold someone and do so many things. And that is not considered offensive. But if one ever becomes overly familiar, then there's always a chance that one can take the spiritual master as an ordinary person, and then immediately one falls down. So better to always maintain some remembrance of the proper position. Prabhupada said, when in the Bhagavad Gita, there's discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. So you know when Arjuna says, "Now I surrender unto you," that verse, then the next verse describes that Krishna smiled slightly. And why did he smile? Because he said, "This is very strange. At first you're addressing me as a friend, you are my friend, and now suddenly you're taking the position of a disciple. This is very funny." You know, this is not very funny, but it is quite surprising to see this. So, and then Prabhupada says that in the talks between the spiritual master and the disciple, you know, all joking and etc., other things are put aside. Friendly dealings are put aside because it is quite serious business now. So there has to be that, you know, serious attitude as well. But according to the degree of service and surrender, then the Guru will allow the relationship to increase. It will allow the ingredient of affection and friendship to fill up the relationship as he becomes confident that the disciple has understood everything properly. So that the Guru will naturally bring the relationship in that direction. So the disciple should wait for the Guru to bring the relationship in that direction. Not that he tries to artificially act in a very friendly, familiar way, because he may then become offensive. Another question? Start with all of us.
Like in this verse, there's one word like nasa, which is nose, which related to a neutral like an angel. So, sometimes I don't have too much knowledge about language, but Sanskrit is the source of many languages.
Yes.
The question is, I heard someone say that some languages, like Chinese, are from another source.
Well, according to the Chinese, they're descendants of the Naga race. You know what Nagas are? Snakes. So, maybe the snakes have some language that they speak.
In Chinese history or something like that.
Hopefully we will come out with a sequel to the science of yoga. It will be the next volume coming, Li Huang Shi. And in the next volume we will learn all about Chinese history and culture. And then hopefully the answer will come later. So you'll have to wait a while for this question to be fully answered.
Like other languages, sometimes when we show the book, you know, we say this is a mother,
Right.
is that, I was just want to say there's things like Hebrew,
Yes,
Malay somehow.
somehow. You can go in my study and see there's a big international dictionary there. And it talks about languages. It gives there's a whole section about that. And it shows derivations of which languages and in which categories. And if you're really interested, you can check that dictionary. Yes.
When I was in school, I learned that all the languages came from Sanskrit except for the Chinese. That's what they taught us.
She said that when she was in school, she learned that all languages come from Sanskrit except Chinese.
They didn't say Sanskrit, though. They said Indo something. But it was,
Indo-Aryan.
Yeah, but and then it broke into Germanic and Latin and all the other languages.
And it all came from Sanskrit.
Original. And it was all
I
over the
mean,
world.
if they were a little intelligent, once they accept that all the languages came from Sanskrit, does language exist separate from culture? Is there such a thing as, language is not some abstract thing. It's spoken by people, right? People have lifestyles. So if the original language was Sanskrit, then it means that the original people were the people who spoke Sanskrit. The original culture was the culture, and that those people were living by. So therefore, this Vedic culture is the original culture.
And it was puzzling to understand how it was spread all over the world and gradually broke into different languages.
It got corrupted by the influence of the age of color. It becomes corrupted. Just like, look how much Krishna consciousness becomes corrupted if we don't become so Right, vigilant. We don't work so hard, but at any moment it becomes corrupted. Someone puts, this deity and that deity on the altar and starts, putting on black clothes and chanting. I mean, so many things happen. At any moment, that is the effect of this age. It's very hard. Therefore, Krishna, this is nothing new in Bhagavad Gita expansion. Because, this knowledge was lost, I'm having to teach it again to you. Time corrupts everything. Well,
Are there the same pastimes with the demons and the locals?
no. Demons are not in Goloka. Where are they?
No, what are the pastimes?
The other pastimes, but not demon pastimes. Pastimes that you see here in this room, on the paintings.
There's no chivalry.
No, there's chivalry when Krishna and the coward was wrestled. There is chivalry, but not with demons.
Not particularly.
No demons are there. All right. Vishaka. Huh? What's the best way to prove love for Krishna? To sit and hear Srimad Bhagavatam class like this. To associate with those who like to hear these things and talk about these things. To read books about these subjects. To chant with these thoughts in the mind. This is the way to improve love for Krishna. Alright? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Gaur Premi Nandi jai.